Hi, it's Jessica Anthony. In this week's video, I am going to go over 5 reasons why it's a great idea to DIY your own handkerchiefs, and then I'll go into a little tutorial of how I've been working on them. So let's dive right in. The first one is saving you money over the long term. I have a handy dandy notebook here with just some little statistics I looked up before. If I wanted to buy tissues from Schmalmart, $7.99 for 110 count. What? From Schmamazon, a 6-pack of 160 is $17.75. That is $11.09 for a 100 count. That seems ridiculous to blow your nose. And then also you can buy, of course, handkerchiefs from small businesses. They're just more expensive, especially from good quality materials. So by making your own, you can save money over the long term. And people may say, well, if I'm sick, I don't want to blow my nose into something I'm going to be reusing. You will wash them. And if you feel that way, just use it for regular allergy time to save money overall. But, if you are under the weather, do your disposable ones if that feels better for you. And it will just reduce the overall amount of tissues you need to use. We're all looking for ways to support smaller, reuse, save money in these times. So number 2 is I think that handkerchiefs, or making a pack of 3 or a set of 5 or whatever, is a really great DIY gift idea. I think it's really sweet. You could optionally, hand embroider and embellish them if you want to get fancy. But just having simple ones is also a great idea as a gift. Reason number 3 is, and this is why I did it, I think it's a great project to practice hand sewing on. So you can definitely machine sew them. It will probably be a lot faster. But I saw a great little video from a hand sewer creator on YouTube, and they were talking about how when you're sewing on a sewing machine, it's loud, you're kind of sequestered away by yourself. But hand sewing is something you can do out in the living room with everyone else, or you don't have to, it's quiet, you can do it at all hours of the night, and it's meditative and enjoyable. I also had wanted to try it after seeing that and seeing, oh, it may not, it might be a great little practice to learn how to hand sew. Starting to hand sew on any large project seemed too intimidating for me, so I felt like this was a great place to start practicing hand sewing. One thing I will say about the hand stitching, it's slower, but it's kind of nice and meditative. I think one of these takes me 20 to 40 minutes, depending if I am hand sewing it, which sounds like a long time, but if I'm doing it while doing something else, it's just a nice way to keep my hands busy. Of course, if you did it by machine, this would take you a minute. It's just a matter of to taste what you would like to do. Reason number 4, and this ties back to all of them and just a general philosophy. By using reusable handkerchiefs, you're reducing waste. Talked about price at the beginning and how many boxes, and that's 100 tissues, and when you're going through that, all that is just going in the trash. It's funny to think, like, you blow your nose, and whatever you blow your nose with, that thing is only in use for that amount of time to blow your nose, and then it's straight in the trash. I mean, of course, given what you're using it for, but using a disposable thing that you only actively use for 2 seconds, 5 seconds before it goes in the trash, it seems like a great place to just reduce overall waste. That's my reason number 4. Reason number 5, it's fun to DIY. It's just an enjoyable pastime for your evenings on a webinar, chatting over tea or coffee with a friend. Some people knit, crochet. You can do some hand stitching. Again, that's if you're hand stitching and not using the machine. But I think it's just fun to do that and to build the skill of hand sewing, and so I think it's a great place to start and just enjoy the process. From here, we are diving into how do I do it. First, you're choosing your fabric. I recommend choosing a natural fiber so that you're not getting all those microplastics in your nose, on your skin as you're doing this. I would choose linen, cotton. Silk is really good, but I'm not sewing with silk. I'm not buying silk. Linen, I heard, and I said this on my previous video, but linen seems to be a good trifecta of durability, softness, absorbency. So I guess that's the three that make a good handkerchief. Can it absorb well? Obviously, that's good. That it's durable and won't wear out really quickly. And that it's soft, so your little schnoz will feel good after a long time of using it. Linen seemed to just score well on all of those. Cotton, you know, silk would be great too, but linen is where I started. And I also found a place where I can get linen online in what they call a doggy bag, where I don't know if it's offcuts or just little amounts of fabric that they need to sell, and they put it on a discount so that you're not paying full price just to make these handkerchiefs. You can also use then offcuts from other projects that you're working on if you have enough fabric left over to make a square. And oh, one more thing about linen as a fabric is that the more you wash it, the more soft and absorbent, is my understanding, it becomes. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone. You'll also see these two aren't perfectly the same size, but again, you know, I'm not doing this as a handkerchief business, so that doesn't really matter, does it? You're getting your fabric, pre-washing it and drying it so that it doesn't shrink after you make it. Give it a nice iron so that you're working with a flat piece of material. So then you're choosing your size. What I did, I looked online at places selling handkerchiefs and just looked at some basic sizes. Some were very large, like 12 by 12. I figured that may not be great for carrying around. I liked the 9 by 9 or 7 by 7, so I cut out squares of the linen fabric, not really straightly cut, and it doesn't really matter there. But this is a medium weight linen, I believe, so it's pre-washed and ironed. So that's really your first step. From there, so you have a bunch of squares, or you're just doing one at a time. Then I hand roll the hems, so rolling it over twice. And I think it's pretty easy with a linen because you can iron it. You could use pins, and probably if you're using a sewing machine and doing the whole thing in one go, I would probably iron and pin it. But when I'm hand sewing, because it's slow enough, I'm just rolling one side, sewing that up, getting to the next side, rolling that up. But I find instead of having to iron, you can literally just crease it and it will pretty much stay, and then roll it again so that's on the inside, and then crease it and it kind of stays put. I create as small a first hem as I can, and I'm really just pressing with my finger down. You could iron it, but I find that this held good enough while I was hand stitching it that I didn't feel I needed, you know, any heavier duty thing other than just using my finger or my fingernail. And so that's rolled once, and then rolling one more time so that the raw edge is hidden under there. I'm trying to make it, you know, generally as small as possible, but not getting too tied down. So here's what it looks like, just folded down, again by pressing it. And then from here, doing that slip stitch along the edge. You hand roll and then stitch along each of the four sides. In doing this, I started out with the back stitch when I was hand sewing, and I didn't like the look of it. I wasn't good enough at it yet to have like a super straight line. So I started doing the slip stitch, and I found that the slip stitch is nice and fairly invisible, so it's very lovely on this. That's what I found. So I come up through the top of the fabric, And then I just get under the bottom layer of fabric really small, and then come up maybe a quarter of an inch further under the top layer and pull through. So then I go through just catching a very little amount of fabric on the front and then coming back through about another quarter of an inch and pulling through. And then you just repeat this through all 4 sides. Don't let hand stitching scare you, because this is my first thing really doing hand stitching with, and it's fine. It works itself out. You just do it, start, and again, because it's not, you know, a huge project, it can take the edge off starting something new to just do something little. Finish this off, so let me do the last couple stitches. I try and fit kind of more stitches in this last little bit so that it's as secure as possible at the end. And basically I'll just go through a few times and maybe even close this off as much as possible. I'm sure there's a fancy hidden way to do this, but I am just then going to come around through where I just went through and basically make a little knot over here. Going through a few times. There we go. This is on the underside. And then the front side. You can see the little stitches are very blended in, and that's nice. So as you're beginning, you are encouraged, and don't worry about any little imperfections, because we're just using these to blow our nose. Here's one of my finished ones. I mean, it is not fancy. That's why it's like, this is a really easy practice thing to do. I'm sure somebody's got really fancy stitches for these. If you are really bent on a 9x9 inch square as a finished size, make sure you factor that into your hem rolls on each of the sides, so it might need to start out a little bit bigger. Well, there you have it. That was our little DIY for hand stitching your handkerchiefs. And again, great first project for trying hand sewing, as it was mine. And if you feel like, oh, it doesn't look that good, we're only blowing our nose with them. It's fine. Imperfection is not about perfection. Nothing is. We are innately perfect. We are enough. And this little hanky is enough. Okay. Sorry. Happy nose blowing. Ooh, you know what would be really cute is like along the hem doing a little embroidery kind of before you do the roll, so all the back portion of those embroidery stitches are hidden. I will get that fancy one day. Thanks for watching this little inspiration for making yourself some DIY handkerchiefs. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great week. Be kind. Enjoy something fun. And we'll see you in the next video. Like, subscribe, and all the rest.